In the heart of downtown Toronto sits a historic building that hosted some of the city's biggest moments. Located at the intersection of Carlton and Church Streets, Maple Leaf Gardens was continuously occupied since its construction in 1931. And in the ensuing decades, it played host to everything from iconic concerts and sporting events to multiple Stanley Cup championships.
What a tremendous hockey game this was!
When the Toronto Maple Leafs relocated to the Air Canada Centre in 1999, the Gardens was purchased by Loblaw Companies Limited. They had an ambitious plan to repurpose the building. The ground floor would house a flagship grocery store, while the upper levels would house fitness facilities and a brand new ice rink for Ryerson University. A job this massive would require tons of cold, hard steel. And that's where the minds and manpower of Niagara Rigging and Erecting came into play. The first phase of this massive job required the demolition of the building's interior. But since the historic facade needed to remain and a new basement constructed beneath the building, a massive amount of structural shoring and underpinning would need to be installed. The team from Niagara Rigging hopped off the bench for their first shift of the game. The plans for this ambitious project included building a basement parking garage beneath ground level, where the original ice rink once lived. To accomplish this, the team from NRE planned to shore up and underpin the entire site so that crews could excavate underneath. The first order of business for Phase 1 was shoring up the east and west sides with a series of whalers and struts, along with structural support beams and columns. With the east and west walls secured, the crew moved on to the north and south ends. In addition to shoring up the walls, they installed a series of massive box trusses. These trusses would help in the maintenance of the heritage brick facade on the building's exterior. With Phase 1 shoring in place, demolition kicked into high gear. The stability added by Niagara Rigging and Erecting's system allowed for a smooth removal process. As demolition progressed, the team kept a keen eye on the stability of the structure. A state-of-the-art fiber optic cable system by Osmos monitored the site 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Sensors mounted throughout the building could detect even the slightest vibration and alert the team of any possible concerns. The demolition crew worked its way outwards past the seating rakers, placing an extreme amount of stress on Niagara's shoring. As Phase 1 drew to a close, the building was virtually a shell. Then a set of unforeseen circumstances was about to really put Niagara's support system to
Good
the
evening. It's
test.
the talk of Toronto. Did you feel it?
We sure did. For about 30 seconds or so, an earthquake shook the city and most of southern Ontario.
Video tells it all, doesn't it?
Despite an extremely rare earthquake rattling the city, this fragile chassis of a building held true, thanks to the work and foresight of Niagara Rigging and Erecting. With that potential disaster averted, NRE geared up for Phase 2. Scope of work for Phase 2, which involved the new interior construction, was to build new floors on top of the box trusses previously installed in the north and south ends of the building. These new floors would become levels of seating and service areas, but completing them wouldn't be easy. The new floors are so tight to the arena's 4 existing ring trusses that NRE had to thread their new steel in through the existing trusses and use it all as part of the new design. As the team progressed through Phase 2, they continued to shore up existing columns and walls. This steel would help to ensure stability under the massive amounts of weight and pressure to come. Meanwhile, construction crews had built up the center core of the building and poured concrete floors on all the new levels. It's at this stage that Niagara Rigging and Erecting would shift their focus to the third and final phase of steelwork. This third phase entailed erecting 3 new trusses inside the building to house all the mechanical and service floors on the 5th level and the tiered seating on the entire west side. These trusses weigh in at over a gargantuan 70 tons each, so additional shoring was added to the basement, and 2 massive 90-ton cranes were brought in to hoist the trusses, all in one piece. In addition to the trusses and rakers installed in this third phase, NRE had the additional task of adding a steel frame on the roof of the gardens to house new air conditioning units. But operating at such heights was no easy task. Everything had to be hoisted up to get the job done. Once the installation of the AC roof framing and the interior steelwork came to an end, NRE was on standby as the construction crew finished their work inside. The steel was framed in, concrete was poured, and the finishing touches were completed. The result of all that hard work? A completely renovated and reimagined Maple Leaf Gardens. The lower levels house a new parking facility and a flagship Loblaws grocery store. While Ryerson University's Mattamy Athletics Center occupies the upper levels, a true combination of art and technical innovation. And none of it would have been possible without the determination and ingenuity of Niagara Rigging and Erecting.